Welcome to NCM Stories. Today we are going to talk about how Nigeria gained her independence in 1960. Stay tuned, and if you're new to this channel, do well to subscribe to get notified when we upload a new video. Independence in 1960. Nigeria gained independence from Britain on October 1st, 1960. Nigeria adopted a federal system of government with three major regions, Northern, Eastern, and Western, that reflected its ethnic and religious diversity. Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa became the first prime minister. The country adopted a federal structure with three major regions. The Northern region dominated by the Hausa Fulani, the Western region dominated by the Yorubas, and the Eastern region dominated by the Igbos. Nnamdi Azikiwe, a key figure in the independence movement, became the Governor-General and later, in 1963, the ceremonial president when Nigeria became a republic. Ethnic and political tensions post-independence era. The period following independence was marked by political instability, largely fueled by ethnic and regional rivalries. While the Northern People's Congress (NPC), led by Ahmadu Bello, dominated the northern region, the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons (NCNC), led by Nnamdi Azikiwe, was dominant in the east. The western region was controlled by the Action Group, led by Obafemi Awolowo. These political parties were largely ethnic-based, and the regional nature of politics created deep division within the country. Western Region Crisis, 1962 to 1965. The major political crisis that occurred in the Western region in the early 1960s within the Action Group led to violence and unrest. Obafemi Awolowo was arrested and imprisoned on charges of plotting a coup, and his rival Samuel Akintola took control of the region. This crisis further destabilized the country and led to widespread dissatisfaction. 1964 federal elections. The national elections held in 1964 were marred by accusations of rigging, violence, and fraud. The elections deepened the existing ethnic divisions, especially between the northern and eastern regions. The aftermath saw a breakdown of law and order, leading to increased tensions between ethnic groups. The history of Nigeria, from creation to civil war. The history of Nigeria is vast and complex, involving ancient civilizations, colonization, independence, and a brutal civil war. Here's a detailed overview of Nigeria's history from ancient times up until the Civil War. The pre-colonial era. Nigeria's history begins long before European colonization, with numerous kingdoms and empires flourishing across the region. The area now known as Nigeria has been inhabited for thousands of years by diverse ethnic groups. Nok civilization. The Nok civilization existed from 1000 BC to 300 AD. One of the earliest known civilizations in Nigeria, the Nok people, are famous for their terracotta sculptures. The Nok culture thrived in the central region and is believed to have contributed to development of later cultures in the region. Hausa city-states, 10th century to 19th century. In the north, the Hausa city-states emerged as powerful trading centers. These states were largely influenced by the spread of Islam from the 11th century onward, facilitating trade and the establishment of political and economic links across the Sahara. Yoruba kingdoms and Benin Empire. In the southwest, the Yoruba people established several powerful kingdoms, including Ife and Oyo. The kingdom of Ife was renowned for its sophisticated art, while the Oyo Empire became a dominant military and political force. To the south, the Benin Empire, not to be confused with modern-day Benin, became a center of culture and trade, famous for its bronzes and military conquest. Kanem Borno Empire, 8th century to 19th century. In the northeastern part of Nigeria, The Kanem Borno Empire grew in power through its control of trans-Saharan trade and expansionist policies. This empire influenced large parts of present-day Nigeria. Igbo communities. The Igbo people in southeastern Nigeria had a decentralized, village-based society. Though lacking large empires, Igbo societies were organized into democratic village assemblies. The colonial period. The arrival of Europeans in the 15th century. Portuguese explorers arrived in the region in the late 15th century, beginning trade relationships. The Atlantic slave trade soon followed, leading to the forced migration of millions of Africans to the Americas. The European powers, especially the British, increasingly asserted control over the region. British colonization, 19th century. By the early 19th century, the British were actively involved in the region, particularly in Lagos and along the Niger River. In 1861, the British annexed Lagos, establishing a colonial foothold. Over the next few decades, Britain expanded its control over the region, eventually uniting the northern and southern parts under British rule in 1914. Amalgamation of 1914. The amalgamation of northern and southern Nigeria by British colonial authorities created modern-day Nigeria. The regions were diverse in terms of ethnicity, religion, and political structure, leading to a legacy of division that would later contribute to conflicts. Path to independence. Nationalism and independence movements, 1920s to 1960s. Nigerian nationalism grew in the early 20th century as local leaders began to push for greater political representation. The Nigerian Youth Movement, founded in 1933, and the later formation of political parties such as the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroon's NCNC, led by Nnamdi Azikiwe, and the National Group, led by Obafemi Awolowo, played key roles in the push for independence. Independence in 1960. Nigeria gained independence from Britain